We now welcome Patrick Ray onto the YouTube channel, a transfer punter who is joining the Dukes for the fall. Patrick, thanks for taking the time, man.
Thank you, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to talk about your commitment to JMU. I guess for starters, what led you to the portal, and then what was it about JMU that stood out as the right spot?
I have been at Louisiana Tech for 3 years now, and I'm graduating in about a week from now, which is really exciting, obviously. And I just felt like now was the right time to kind of turn a new page and start a new chapter. When it comes to my football career, and that's why decided to enter the transfer portal, and I got flown out to JMU on a visit. I'd never been to Virginia. I'd never really looked too far into the program at JMU. But yeah, as soon as I landed, the support, the culture, the energy that I felt as soon as I got into Harrisonburg was amazing. And by the end of my visit, I knew that this was going to be my new home for the next couple of years. So I was really happy with that.
Awesome. I think
Yeah,
fans probably noticed not a Louisiana accent. You're from Australia.
yeah.
What was your path to American football and to college football?
So I was playing Australian football back in Australia, obviously. And yeah, I didn't know much about college football or American football in general. I think I tell people that my first game of American football that I ever watched was Joe Burrow's national championship back in 2019 or something. Or 2020, man, I can't even remember the year. But I was playing Australian football, and one of my managers on the team I was playing for reached out to someone for me and put me in touch with Darren Bennett, who is now my mentor, punting coach. And there were a couple of people working under him back in Australia who I ended up training with. And they told me what they had going on in terms of wanting to train a couple of guys, and let us kind of explore the opportunity of going over and playing college football in America. And I mean, it sounded really enticing. And that was kind of where my decision was made. And for the next eight or so months, I trained, learned how to punt, learned the game, and committed to Louisiana Tech.
Awesome. And obviously, it worked out pretty well for you, the starter there for a couple of years. And last year, you were obviously really impressive. Over 20 punts inside the 20. I guess what's the strength of your game? I know you also had a couple long ones in there too. What do you sort of think the strength of your punting game is?
I think what I bring is definitely my versatility. I like to roll out. I also like to hit in the pocket spiral punts.
Mhm.
And I think that I can kind of use that as a weapon to throw off defensive punt schemes.
Yeah.
And in return, I think that just lets us set up on defense a lot more if I can hit a better ball. Um, and I just think that this off season, I worked really hard on building up my strength, building my weight, to kind of really make sure that those bigger balls stay consistent. That's something that I kind of wanted to focus on in the off season.
Yeah.
I think that my pooch punts going inside the 20. I think a strong point. JMU definitely pointed out to me. We watched some film on their gunners from last year, and I'm really excited to get working with all those boys. So yeah, I'm super happy with that.
Yeah, they've got some good ones. Chase Reagan had a big year last year at the gunner spot. I was
Definitely.
interested too, just the process of transferring as a punter and as you get into the sport. What's it like when you go in the portal? Are you getting a ton of contact? I know it's a very specific, specialized position, so maybe a different experience in the portal compared to some other guys.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely had its ups and downs. I told my coaches at Louisiana Tech back in January, end of January, that I was looking to enter the transfer portal.
Mhm.
And so I kind of had an extended period of time, some would say, in the portal. Um, and yeah, I mean, there were days where I was like, this is going great. Like, there's a lot of good, strong communication, and then there's other days where it's completely dead quiet, and you start to think like, oh, what else is there that I can do to kind of promote myself? It's very, I believe, for the punting position in the transfer portal, it is hard, obviously, because most teams are looking for one guy. Some teams aren't looking for a punter at all. And I think that what I found was I had to just keep pushing and promoting myself on Twitter, posting current film, posting my game film, and just kind of showing coaches, my consistency in my punts. And, once I'm able to communicate with them, just really try and sell myself as a person.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You also at Louisiana Tech, you had a 26-yard fake punt that you ran. I think it was against an SEC team. What was that like? And I guess you
Yeah.
probably have some experience doing those sort of things from Australian football.
Yeah, definitely. So that one was against Arkansas later
Yeah.
in the year. Um, And yeah, I mean, Australian football, I'm not sure if you've seen it before. I'm not sure if anyone watching this has ever seen it before. I would recommend searching it up and watching a few YouTube videos on it. But it is a lot of on the run,
Mhm.
moving around, and I mean, kicking on the run. And I think that, that kind of translated into what we kind of did against Arkansas that day. We had that fake drawn up for the past 3 weeks or so.
Wow.
And yeah, it was the third quarter, I'm pretty sure, or fourth quarter. We were down by a little bit, and I went up to our special teams coach. I'm like, "We got to do it. We got to do it." And he was a hard man to convince, but we went out there and we saw it was on, and we called it. And I was just, I was lucky I had some big boys blocking for me, and ended up getting a pretty decent first down. So I was happy with the result.
Yeah, no, heck of a play. I know JMU fans saw that and were excited. They're used to have an Australian punter on the team, Harry O'Kelly,
Yep.
who had a bunch of fakes. I was curious, do you know Harry at all from his time at JMU?
I don't. No, I don't. He actually followed me, I think, on Twitter, so I do need to get back to him and hit him up and get his experience I'm sure he's got some wisdom to pass down to me. So I'm excited to get in touch with him for sure.
Awesome. And what is it, I guess, about Australian rules football, Australian football that allows you to transition to the college game so easily? I know you mentioned sort of that 8 months of intense training, which is not that long, all things considered, right? To go from
Yeah.
not watching games to being an FBS punter.
I think that the obviously the biggest way that you move the ball in Australian football is kicking it, kind of like a punt.
Mhm.
But you are more on the run, which is why that rollout style works for a lot of Aussies. Um, our main way of disposing the ball is with an end over end punt or kick.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of easy to kind of transition into. You had to kind of figure out the new shape of the ball. The Australian football was a little rounder, so it's a bit more of a sweet spot. But then what was kind of my biggest transition that I had to learn over that period of time, and I'm still trying to, master right now, is that spiral punt, that pro style punt.
Mhm.
That's not something that we're used to, but that leg swing action coming through the ball is very natural to us. So once you kind of figure out that sweet spot, that technique, I think that we can kind of apply it really quickly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I was curious too, just the culture difference or shock, maybe. What's it like to go from Australia to playing in Louisiana Tech for 3 years?
Yeah, oh, man. So when I got off the plane for the first time back in 2022, um, I got picked up at the Dallas airport, and the first place that I got taken to in the entire uh, country was a Bucky's. So I guess that kind of can say a little bit about how the culture shock hit me day one. But yeah, I mean, the Southern culture down here, I'm sure I'm going to get another culture shock when I come up to
Yeah.
Virginia. It's different down here. There's probably not a place in the world that's quite like this. I think it's a pretty special place. The people here are second to none in terms of how they kind of welcome me into their community. And being Louisiana specifically, you get opened up to the Cajun culture
Yeah.
and the Mardi Gras events, everything as such. I think that there's a lot of history and a lot of culture down here that I'd never heard of, and I mean, I've been lucky to have some pretty good people around me that have shown me a good time and shown me what it's all about down here. And then Texas as well, right across the state border. You can't complain about Texas. I've always had good experiences over there. So yeah.
Awesome. And in that this upcoming year at JMU, I guess what are your goals individually? I know you mentioned sort of perfecting your craft and working on different things. What are sort of the focus as you get ready for the next season?
Yeah, I think that my biggest goal this year is to really just provide for the defense. That was my kind of motto in my head last year. I prided myself on, setting up the defense as best as I can, because if we go out there and I hit a good punt and I split the field, or I put them inside the 10 or inside the 5, the chances of anyone we're playing going down and scoring off that is going to be it's going to be hard, and that's kind of starts with me. And I think that I kind of want to hone in on my kind of my situational knowledge. So
Mhm.
knowing when and where the right time is to hit a certain punt. I think that my first year fully starting was last season, and as the season progressed, I kind of looking back on some games, I'm like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done this differently. And I think that's kind of that aspect of maturity coming in, and just knowing like, okay, we're in this part of the field here. I like the way I have a little bit of a cross breeze. I want this type of punt because I think I can hit it best. And so that's kind of what I'm wanting to work on this off season, and work with the whole punt team as a unit itself, so that we're all on the same page when we walk out onto the field.
Awesome. Yeah, what's the learning curve like? I know you mentioned the Joe Burrow Championship. That's a good game to start with, but what's it like over the
Yes.
last few years, just kind of learning about the sport and understanding, I guess, everything from situational punting to what else is going on the field?
Yeah, it's like we were prepared as best as we could when we were in Australia and coming
Yeah.
over, but nothing's obviously going to be the same as when you're actually in the moment. So, like, I always think back to my first ever American football game I ever went to was we played Missouri at Missouri, and I ended up playing that game. So the first game I ever watched was also the first game I ever played in. So you could ask my teammates over the past couple of years. I'm on the sideline and I'm like I'm like tapping them on the shoulder. I'm going, "What's that flag for? What? Why is this happening? Why is there a stop and play here?" And I mean, those questions have gotten less and less over the
Yeah.
past few years, but just learning the technicalities, because I think this game's very unique. I think that
Yeah.
I think I personally, I mean, I'm biased now, but I think it's one of the best sports in the world. I think there's so much critical thinking to it, and I just love that part of it. And just learning all those little minute details of the game, play calling, I think that was a big eye opener to me. I've never really seen any of that before, and yeah, I just loved kind of learning the game. And on punt, it was kind of my first year. There wasn't a lot of thinking to it. It was all right, let's go out and punt a ball. Whereas now it's kind of I like looking at what they're holding up on the other side of the ball, whether they're going to come and get it, whether they're going to
Mhm.
play it, whether they're going to hold and play safe. I like kind of assessing that when I'm out on the field. Um, and yeah, I kind of like I said earlier, I like kind of knowing what the best punt is in that situation.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, I'll let you go, but thanks for the time. I know JMU fans are excited to have another Aussie punter on the team.
awesome. Thanks for having me. That was a really good call.